News, traffic, and weather station.
It's coming up on 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Utah Avalanche Center has released new information on the avalanche that killed a skilled skier at Hoyt Peak on Saturday. A report from the center says Michael Dujanovic used a snow bike to get to the area, then was caught in the avalanche, burying him. The slide was 150 feet wide and 3.5 feet deep. Forecaster Dave Kelly tells KSL TV conditions in northern Utah can be deceptive right now, and it's important to stay out of avalanche areas.
You can have great travel on slopes less than 30 degrees and still find soft snow on those northerly facing aspects on the less steep slopes.
Dujanovic had been described as a friend to the Avalanche Center. They say his death is a, quote, tremendous loss for our backcountry family, and we will miss him deeply. Homeowners near Little Cottonwood Canyon are the latest to file a lawsuit against the Utah Department of Transportation opposing a proposed gondola.
The Granite Oaks Homeowners Association claims plans to build a parking garage and base station for the gondola violates their property rights. Deseret News reports taxpayer funds were used to pay for the property, and the lawsuit says the funds were not authorized for that use. UDOT says the gondola will alleviate traffic congestion, improve air quality, and protect the watershed, while opponents say the gondola would be a blight on the beauty of the canyon and may impact drinking water. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Israel is stepping up the pressure on Hamas to extend the first phase of the ceasefire deal in Gaza.
Israel cutting off power to the lone facility in Gaza that was still receiving electricity from Israel. It was a desalination plant that we're told provided water to thousands, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in central Gaza. And of course, this comes a week after Israel cut off the flow of aid and goods into Gaza in order to try to pressure Hamas to continue that first phase of that ceasefire.
ABC's Matt Gutman reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 354 points to 42,462. Coming up, we've got emergency traffic on northbound 15 in Bountiful. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Do you have some money in a savings account? If you do, I want to suggest that you earn more money on that money by transferring your savings account over to UCCU.
Utah Community Credit Union is offering high-rate savings options with yields up to 5.05%. That is a lot higher than any savings account.
Right, so your average savings account is 0.5%, 0.5%, but UCCU has these 9-month savings certificates at a whopping 5.05% rate of return.
Now, savings certificates, like a savings account, they're great ways to earn a safe return on your money, but the difference is a savings account, you deposit, you withdraw, but with a savings certificate, you just make the deposit and you let your money earn some money for you.
For 9 months in this case, or if you want to let it stay in a little longer and earn more money, there's a 15-month savings certificate as well. But either way, you're going to be saving so much money at UCCU.
5.05%, that's more than 5 times higher than a standard savings account.
Just go to UCCU.com, select a high-yield savings option, and supercharge your savings.
At Utah Community Credit Union, you're going to love where you bank.
Hi, friends. Dan, the laptop man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in, because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
Over 3/4 of Americans suffer with foot pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to give back your quality of life. Meet Patty.
I'm Patty from Saratoga Springs. I'm 74 years old. I just one day felt like I had a really bad stone bruise on the bottom of my foot. So I actually went to the doctor and he goes, "You've got a severe case of plantar fasciitis." I'm really an active person. I work outside a lot in my yard. I like to kayak, and it was slowing me down from being able to launch my kayak. I could hardly get to the bathroom in the morning. The pain was so stabbing and bad.
What made the difference for Patty?
I discovered Foot Solutions in Orem. I was talking to a friend that I knew had plantar fasciitis, and she said, "Have you tried Foot Solutions?" I went there and got some great orthotics and some cute supportive shoes. Then in about a month, the pain was almost completely gone. Talk about relief.
You deserve a life free of foot pain. Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
You really ought to go there. It's a good place.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, if you're northbound I-15 in the Salt Lake Valley, you're going to see most of your slowdowns right now between the 201 freeway split all the way into downtown. And then as you continue northbound, there's still a few brake lights right through the Bountiful area. That's where we had a slowdown earlier. They'd stopped all lanes of traffic for it looked like some emergency pothole repair. All the lanes are moving again, and it's almost back to freeway speeds in that area. No real issues on the rest of your commute throughout the Wasatch Front. If you're in Tooele County, though, you are going to have delays on SR 36 through Stansbury Park due to construction. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. It's going to be a warm day today with highs in the lower 60s and lots of sunshine. Right now that sun is blazing, and it is 43 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
And we begin this morning with a debate that we cannot put to bed. The debate over daylight saving time. Dave absolutely hates the fact that we've shifted the clocks forward 1 hour. He's been a little bit of a crybaby about it this morning, so we're going to let him give us his best pitch on why he thinks we should do away with daylight saving time. As for me, I've never felt better. Summer's exactly 102 days away, and I know that every time we flip the clock forward. I love it, Dave.
I cannot get over how much you love this because it makes zero sense to me. Daylight saving time is the nightmare, the bane of my existence. I feel awful, and I will feel awful all week long because of this spring forward hour. It is the worst. And guess what? Science is on Dave's team on this, Deb.
Science does say it takes you about a week to recover and actually catch up for that lost hour of sleep. But as for me, I sprung out of bed yesterday knowing that we're on the cusp of summer, loving the fact that it stays lighter, so much later. So give us your best argument as to why you want to do away with daylight saving time, Dave. And let's just start here with this Utah legislation to make sure everybody knows that lawmakers aren't doing a thing with it this year. The session ended on Friday night, and the Senate decided not to pass a legislation that would have impacted whether we flip the clocks forward or backwards. So we are where we're at, and we're going to stay here for another hot minute.
For someone that loves sunshine so much, that will play the beautiful music of sunshine, for someone that loves sunshine so much, how can you bear no sunshine until basically 8 a.m.? You wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and for 3.5 hours, total blackness.
I bought a sunshine lamp.
You know you did.
I did.
You bought.
It was
what's a sunshine lamp?
$100 on Amazon, and I bought it. It's a lamp that I don't know sends off some sort of like light signal.
Artificial sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. And I read my headlines and read the stories and sip my coffee by it every single morning for about a half an hour, Dave. I don't know that that's a cure for no sunshine because you're right. I do love it when the sun comes up early, and that's what we lose when we spring forward. But what I love more is that it stays lighter later. I have absolutely no issues with springing forward. In fact, I love it when we spring forward. I don't feel like I've lost any sleep at all. I feel better today than I felt on Friday.
You are an anomaly because most people don't feel it on the fallback. So we've got the spring forward where we lose an hour, and then we got the fallback where we gain an hour. And what research has shown, and this is out of Vanderbilt University, the medical center has done some research on this, and CBS News spoke to one of their neurologists. And the neurologist said, when it comes to fallback, you don't see anything. Like, there's no real negative health consequences.
I think they actually call it benign.
It's benign.
The fallback is benign.
Yeah, the fallback's benign.
The only people that are really bummed out and deserve to be bummed out when we fall back is the people who have to work the shift, are actually working when we fall back. I don't know how they handle it at work, but it feels like you get stuck working an extra hour. So it's not totally benign for everybody, but in general, when it comes to sleep, fallback doesn't affect us. But where it affects people like you is when we spring forward.
And we have the exact same amount of daylight, whether you gain an hour or you lose an hour, the daylight doesn't change. It's just, where do you experience that daylight? And during daylight saving time, we enjoy it in the evening, not in the morning. That's why the sun doesn't rise until about 8 o'clock. But when we do fall back, what science has shown is that we can track very clearly increase in strokes, in heart attacks, and teen sleep deprivation.
I can lean into the teen sleep deprivation thing. Having raised teenagers, they need all the sleep they can get. And I'm sure it does mess with a natural hormone, melatonin, in our system because we shift forward an hour. And teens need their sleep. So I do lean into that. But look, I don't parent teens anymore. I'm not in that same boat that you are, Dave. So tell me, how did your child react to this morning?
Well, I don't know. I was far gone by the time. He's still snoozing,
okay.
By the time I leave in the morning. But what is strange is where I start winding down for the evening, and, I try to be in bed by 9:30, since we get up so early. But there's still light outside. And that's always been what's so difficult for teens is when the light is out, then your body doesn't start naturally winding down. Your body releases melatonin, and when you delay it another hour, then puberty actually delays melatonin release anyway.
So it's like a double whammy for kids.
It is total double whammy for teens. And anyone that's parented teens know, like, why don't you ever wind down? That, when do they want to talk? Late at night. That's when they want to start chatting it up because melatonin hasn't released. Us parents, it releases it at an appropriate time. That's why we go to bed earlier. So you have the double whammy. Melatonin, because of puberty, gets released later, and then you have the sun setting later, and then kids just go to bed late.
Back up the research just a minute, just to where the point where we talked about the kids angle. What did you say about stroke and heart attacks?
Yeah, increase in strokes and heart attacks. When we spring forward during this time, this is what they've linked it to, is this disruption of your circadian rhythms when you naturally fall asleep. It's a stress on your body. But oddly enough, we don't experience it. Well, I guess maybe not oddly enough. When we fall back, in the fall, in November, we don't see this same kind of spike in strokes and heart attacks.
Oh, I don't see that happen in my house. I don't wake up holding my heart.
You're not having a heart attack yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some people have had a hard time with it. I don't want to diminish that in any way, but I'm like, really? Because I've never felt that way. I literally sprung out of bed yesterday. Couldn't wait to go on my afternoon walk. In fact, the only thing that let me down was the weather. It looked to be 65 degrees outside, but fooled again. It was more like 45 with the wind chill factor, so I hightailed it back home after about a mile. So here's what I think it is, Dave. I think it's just people love to complain about something, and this is the latest thing that they're complaining about. So for decades, I've worked here in Utah as a news reporter. I don't ever remember covering the daylight saving controversy as a story. And then suddenly within the last, 5 to 6, 7 years, I've noticed more legislation, people talking about it more, and people loving to complain about it. So I'm not so sold that this is actually a problem. maybe it's more of a manufactured debate.
If it were a preference, I would totally give that to you. If it was just, hey, would you rather have more sunlight in the evening or more sunlight in the morning? I totally agree with you there. If it's just a preference, you can't change anything. But when you start bringing in health, and they say there is clearly higher rates of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, breast cancer, other certain types of cancers that are linked to chronic sleep deprivation, and the spring forward leads to chronic sleep deprivation.
But that's also what we say about alcohol and diet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so are you looking for a way to blame daylight saving time? Because we say that about too many hamburgers and too much alcohol can lead to that long list of medical issues that you just talked about. It's like, where does the daylight saving part play into that? It's because to me, it's just an hour. It's just an hour, and we're going to spend an hour on this show just complaining about just this hour. So do you have any real solutions to this?
I do have a solution, and to put a finer point on that, I can choose whether or not to eat a hamburger. The daylight saving time, that is forced upon me, whether I want it or not.
Arizona.
Oh, there you go.
You can move to Arizona.
Or Hawaii.
Or to any other country that does not observe daylight saving time. There are plenty of places on this planet that don't jump back and forth with the clock. So you could choose to move to my home state of Arizona, and then you would never have anything to complain about when everybody else is switching their clocks.
Russia, too, by the way. If you're
Russia.
interested, you could move to Russia. All right, I've got a solution that I'd like to pitch out there because it doesn't make a ton of sense. What is so difficult about daylight saving time, the spring forward, or even the fallback, right? Anytime you have the change, it's a shock to the system. It's a full hour that we feel, right? If I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock, my body thinks it's 8 o'clock. Well, my body's not ready to fall asleep at 8 o'clock or 8:30. That's where my body is like, what are you doing? It's not sleepy time. Why don't we just change it incrementally throughout the year?
What?
Yeah, so instead of an hour in one day, why not change it 30 seconds a day? Like every day, you just shift it 30 seconds.
The clock?
The clock, yeah. And this is okay. You're gonna think, well, this is crazy. I'm not changing my clock every single day.
I now completely believe you are suffering full-on sleep deprivation in this moment. Okay, but I want to let our listeners know. I want you to listen to Dave. Let's listen to his pitch, and then we're going to take phone calls at 801-575-TALK. So get ready to dial in if you're awake. And weigh in on Dave's pitch. Go for it, Dave.
I've solved the entire problem. Nobody else knows this, but I've solved the problem. What's that on your left wrist, Debbie?
It's a bracelet and a watch.
Okay, it's an Apple Watch. It's a digital watch.
Yeah.
You have a phone?
I do.
If you're checking the clock, where do you typically check if you want to see what the time is?
Usually my watch.
Usually your watch, right? We're sitting here in the studio. We have 2 digital clocks.
I do check those a lot.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that. Okay, go ahead. I don't know that those are hooked to the internet, but go ahead.
They absolutely are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No, they're hooked.
Oh, I learned something new.
We don't adjust clocks anymore outside of your outside of your microwave and your oven. We don't change our clocks.
I need to speak to Toyota about that because my clock did not reset.
Okay, our cars too. There you go. You got the cars, but 99% of the time when we're checking the time, it is off some sort of digital device, whether it's your phone or your watch.
All right.
That takes care of everything anyway. If it shifted 30 seconds every single day, you wouldn't feel a thing, and we would just naturally stay in the best time where the sun rises early and then it sets relatively late. And then in the summer where we naturally have more daylight, it would just be split between the two.
Okay, so the reverse of that is kind of like saving like $40 or $50 a paycheck for Christmas, and then by the time Christmas rolls around, you don't even notice.
Yes.
Right? Because you've already had enough time to save up for Christmas. So you just go and grab that money out of your saving account and you spend that money. Okay. So here's a little bit of the reverse of that. We subtract how much time? 15 seconds per day?
15, 30 seconds a day maybe.
How does this work with Europe? Because Europe goes on daylight saving time, from what I read, later than we do. So we do the beginning of March here in this country, and they do toward the end of March.
Yeah.
You got to work through that.
It would be nice if the entire world could follow my great idea. That would be amazing.
So you got to do something about that.
Yeah.
But you're saying you could come up with you could come up with a solution that we could solve that problem too.
If we can handle it here with a neighboring state, we have the same problem with Arizona. Arizona doesn't switch back and forth like we do. So even though they are a bordering state, if you are in St. George, you could go back and forth every single day, and you've got to account for the time change.
So under your plan, states that wanted to stay on standard time could stay on standard time, and states that were flipped to daylight saving time would do this reverse clock deal.
Yeah, the internet synchronized clocks, where we all just work off the same clock, and then it just splits the difference, where we don't have really dark mornings and really bright evenings. We just split the difference so that we have the best of both worlds, a little bit more light in the daytime, a little less light in the summer. But what we're going to do is, instead of having this shock to the system every every 5 months, it's like 5 and 7, 5 months of standard, 7 months of. So instead of having this hour shock back and forth twice a year, let's just tweak it every single day. Just tweak it a few seconds. You would not even experience this.
So in lieu of the politicians finally doing something about this one way or the other, Dave's saying his plan will work. 801-575-TALK. Let's turn to our phone lines. Hi, Trevor.
Hey, how you kids doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I've never felt better. How about you?
Excellent. The same. There are lots of times that I have to wake up an hour early, maybe because I've got a work meeting or something, and it doesn't throw my entire universe into a tailspin, so I don't get it. So 2 comments, if I may, please.
Yes.
The first one is, there is an old Indian saying, Native American saying, that only the white man thinks they can cut a foot off the top of a blanket and sew it onto the bottom of the blanket and have a bigger blanket.
I love it.
Trevor, do you need to say anything more?
That's so good.
Do you need to say anything more? Dave, I think that was directed at you.
No, that's to you. That's to you. We still have the same amount of daylight. We just are pretending like, oh, no, we're going to get an extra hour of daylight in the evening. No, he's saying we can't chop off, it's going to be.
Well, your plan is the same thing, too. It just is incremental subtraction from the clock. I'm not sure your plan makes much sense.
Maybe he's making fun of both of us. That's a good one. Thanks, Trevor.
I love it. I was texted 57500. I love daylight saving time. Keep it permanently. This may be the only thing I agree with Deb on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody who always caveats. This is the only time in the history of the 8 years you have been on the radio, Deb, that I've ever agreed with you. We only agree on daylight saving time.
What I dislike the most is how dark it is in the morning. And in part because you and I wake up so early. We get up at 4:30 or so. And it is hours. It is 3.5 hours of darkness during daylight saving time. It is pitch black for so long. And we know that your body responds better when you have morning light. When you wake up, you're exposed to light. There's great health benefits to that. But we are dealing with 3.5 hours of darkness, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It just seems so arbitrary.
Yeah. Hi, Linda.
Hi. I like it on standard time because, like, if we switch to daylight, you know what? You wouldn't get daylight in the morning in the wintertime until 9 in the morning here in Utah. And I think that would be terrible.
Okay, well,
and,
Dave,
and another thing, I have to set my talking clock radio, and I always have to set my Braille watch. I would know if I had to keep changing that dumb Braille watch.
Oh, you would know. You would absolutely be affected by Dave's plan. Okay, thanks for the phone call, Linda. Dave, you've actually looked up how late the sun would rise here if we stayed on daylight saving time year round.
Yeah,
right?
the extremes, if you stick with one or the other, and she's right, is you can have these really dark mornings where it's not 9 o'clock and the sun's still
Hey,
down.
Brian, we can get one more call in. Happy daylight saving time.
Hey, you too.
Hey, what's going on? What do you think about Dave's plan?
Well, it's interesting, but you know, air travel and everybody that needs a schedule would be thrown off by that.
Brian, the word you're looking for is it's an inspiration. I think that's the word you're looking for, an inspiration.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It
though.
is.
Yeah, I was wondering, how do we do this with the airlines?
Everyone's got to change, right? I mean, this can't just be a Utah thing. This has got to be a change across the country where we're like, you know, we're not going to have this big spring forward an hour or fall back an hour. It's just going to be 15 seconds a day. You won't even feel it. It's not going to change your sleep habits. It's going to be better for your health. We're not winding our watches anymore. It's all digital anyway. Let's just have them figure it out.
Straight ahead, Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman, his wife, and one of their dogs found dead inside their home in February. Well, now we're finding out how all three, Gene, his wife, and their dog, died. Their home was essentially turned into a morgue for about 15 days before somebody managed to check in on them. We're going to talk about this strange and sad story straight ahead.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to NordicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you, New Nordic.
Do you suffer from depression? The Department of Psychiatry at the University of Utah is currently seeking people between the ages of 18 and 65 who have depression to take part in a comprehensive treatment study. The goal of this study is to see if 2 naturally occurring supplements will improve depression in people living at higher altitudes. Participants will take the supplements for 8 weeks, and the study lasts 12 weeks in total. Participants must already be taking an SSRI or an SNRI medication for at least 8 weeks. Compensation will be provided to study participants. Again, if you are between the ages of 18 and 65 and suffer from depression that hasn't responded to usual antidepressants, the University of Utah is conducting a study that may help. For more information or to take part, please call 801-581-3475 or visit altitudedepressionstudy.com. That's 801-581-3475 or altitudedepressionstudy.com.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: dozens of residents at an apartment complex in Midvale were forced out of their homes after a fire started in one of the units. Investigators believe it started in a bathroom and was caused by a fan in the ceiling. 3 units were damaged by the fire, but a broken water line flooded 12 units on the bottom floor. Every unit has some kind of smoke damage as well. Unified Fire says some residents were able to return. Several Utah Valley University students have spent the last several years working on addressing affordable housing options in Heber City. They've been conducting surveys in the city for the past 3 years, and student Lauren Howe explains 3 key findings.
47% of respondents want more single-family homes. The second is over a third of the respondents are dissatisfied with their life in Heber City. And the third is 78% of respondents know someone in Heber City who is struggling with housing insecurity.
3 of the 4 plans from student groups revolve around increasing residents' awareness of available city resources. City council members expressed their desire to help these students and their citizens moving forward. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. Supreme Court says it'll look at a case involving conversation therapy. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
The case involves a challenge to Colorado's law banning what's called conversion therapy, the idea that sexual orientation or gender dysphoria can be cured through counseling. Colorado and more than 20 other states have banned it, calling it harmful to minors. But appeals courts have split on whether such laws violate the First Amendment. The Supreme Court has now agreed to settle the matter by hearing a case brought by a Christian counselor who says her rights have been violated by Colorado's law.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reporting. Your money at this moment: it's been a rough day for the Dow, down 341 points since the opening bell. 42,459 is what it's at right now. Coming up, it's going to be warm today, real warm. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 9:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
My job when I was a kid, when Mom went shopping, is I had to grab the rock salt for our water softener. They were 50 pounds back then. Now they're 40. They made it a little bit easier on our lower back. They lowered it to 40 pounds. But one of the things I love about Connecticut water softeners is they are so efficient that they use 2/3 less salt than other water softeners. So instead of carrying 3 bags of rock salt or salt pellets, you only have to carry 1. And when I was throwing mine in, it was maybe a couple times, once a month, every couple of months. It's so highly efficient, and Connecticut gives you, because it's all mechanical, 24/7, nonstop soft water, and you get to enjoy all the benefits of that. And my wife and I look at it as an investment in our long-term health of our home, because it's not only great for your skin. That's where we've noticed it the most, is soft, hydrated skin, but it's great for your dishes, your laundry, and your expensive appliances. Breathes life into your water heater. So if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to Connecticut of Utah. Connecticut has a phenomenal program. 801-576-8600 is the number. 801-576-8600, or you can check them out online. Just go to softwaterutah.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Let's go to the traffic center with Heather Kelly.
We are mostly delay-free right now on the I-15 corridor throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and most of Davis County, but we have slowdowns again As you're going through Centerville up into Farmington, looks like they're stopping traffic again to do some more emergency pothole repair. But the last time they did this slow down through the Bountiful area, that everybody was stopped just for about 10 minutes, and then everybody started moving again. So just be aware you might have some off and on delays trying to get into Davis County this morning and throughout the afternoon. With Two Brothers Mattress, lowest price guarantee and their 100-night trial, Two Brothers Mattress is your ideally owned #1 choice in Tempur-Pedic mattresses. Learn more at twobrothersmattress.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. It'll be a warm day today with highs in the lower 60s and lots of sunshine. Right now it is fair and 43 degrees in Salt Lake City. A little bit cooler in Provo, 39 degrees, and Ogden, 38 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
This is really the very sad and, in some regards, strange story about the death of Academy Award-winning actor Gene Hackman, who's 95, his wife, who's 65 years old, and their dog. And when I first found out about this, that they had all been found dead inside their home in New Mexico, I immediately thought, oh, it must be carbon monoxide poisoning. And then I saw the age of Gene Hackman, who in the 70s won an Oscar for The French Connection.
Hey, you! Haircut! Where you going?
You talking to me, baby?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come here. Get out.
At 95, and I thought, okay, well, maybe there was something else to it. Well, there's a lot more to this, and Dave and I are going to talk about it right now.
It was interesting because when they first found out that he had passed away and that his wife, 30 years younger, had passed away at the same time, they immediately said, we don't suspect foul play. And just very odd that they would die in their homes without any sort of foul play, coming into it. But very early on, they said, we don't suspect that. So I think there were a lot of questions in people's minds. Okay, well, what actually happened? Well, now we're getting these answers.
And she died first.
Yes.
She died first, and she died about a week before Gene Hackman died. They both died inside the home. And also, I remind you, their dog died as well. And we now know what was going on with their dog. Okay, and what amazed me about this USA Today timeline of events is that so much of this timeline is pieced together through technology. So she is seen out and about running errands on February 11th. Okay, she goes about running her day's errands in the Santa Fe area, and that includes a trip to Sprouts Market. Okay, we have them here in Utah, so a lot of us are familiar with Sprouts, right? A little neighborhood market. She shops there. She sends the emails to a massage therapist at about 11 o'clock in the morning. And then by 2:30 or so, 3:30 in the afternoon, she's at Sprouts for about 45 minutes. Of course, they can look at this through whether it's, video or transactions. And then she hops on over to CVS Pharmacy. Okay. So it seems like at this point, she's just living her day, right? Yeah. Like we all do. Where the surveillance footage at CVS Pharmacy captures her wearing a mask. Okay. And that's the first sign that I feel like, okay, something's going on, right? She's wearing a mask. Maybe she doesn't feel well. And she gets back home and she keys into their gated community in the Santa Fe area at about 5:15 in the afternoon. And then the USA Today reporter writes that day would be her last. She died from hantavirus. And I got chills all over when I said that, because when I heard it, she had died of hantavirus, I said, what of all the things? Hantavirus, we learned about that in the 90s. I was actually very familiar with it because I got worried about it because it comes from mouse droppings. And we own some sheds far, like an hour and a half outside of Salt Lake, and we'd go to the sheds to put things in there and stuff like that and take out our snowmobiles. And there was mice droppings around. Mm-hmm. So I'd mask up and I'd spray it down with Clorox or whatever they told me to spray it down with bleach.
and make sure that I killed any of the potential for the virus. But this virus is extremely deadly. And that's what she died from, on their bathroom floor.
And not terribly common. Hantavirus, even though like you'll find rat droppings or mouse droppings in your home, it's not like a guarantee that hantavirus, is in those droppings. What I didn't realize is how dangerous hantavirus is if you contract it, how deadly it is.
Well, and how weird is it that that was the last thing I was expecting the medical examiner to say,
Right.
Oh, hantavirus killed Gene Hackman's wife. Well, now the story goes that she had died 7 days before he did, if I'm reading this timeline right. So he is deep into Alzheimer's disease, he lives inside their home for 7 days. I'm going to make the leap here and assume that he didn't realize that his wife was dead on the bathroom floor, and that he's suffering greatly from Alzheimer's. And then, of course, let's go back to that component of technology. The ME, the medical examiner, sees data from his pacemaker, shows activity until February 17th. So that's when they last kind of record, the 17th and 18th, any sort of data from his pacemaker. So he dies several days after she dies.
Which is just, this whole story is so heartbreaking because
terrible.
he's so frail, obviously, with Alzheimer's. He's got a heart issue going on as well. And then his wife, who's 30 years younger than he is, she's the one that passes away. I guess we don't naturally think, about the caretaker, about their health, and what happens if they pass away first. And then this just heartbreaking story where it sounds like for the next week, he is trapped inside his house, wandering around. They did find that he had no food in his stomach. So, had he just starved to death or forgotten to drink? This is what we're learning. And it's just agonizingly painful to hear these details. She dies. He survives for another week. Then he passes away.
Yeah.
And then when do they find both of them?
Yeah. The end of the month. So she passes away on February 11th. And when you say them, it was actually a maintenance worker who goes to their home in the afternoon at the end of February on the 26th and finds the front door is open just a little bit. So he starts looking through the window, and that's when he sees Hackman's wife lying on the floor. And then they end up calling, they get a hold of 911. And of course, we know the rest of the story from the cops arrive, and then they have to then determine a cause of death. The other aspect to this is she never made it to the vet's office on that day. She was out running errands to Sprouts and to CVS Pharmacy. And she had been like clockwork going to her veterinarian's office to pick up medication and food for their dog. And she didn't make it there. And after a couple of days, the vet's office called her. And of course, they didn't get a hold of her because not knowing that she was already deceased. So their dog, they end up finding the dog, one of the dogs. The other dogs, it sounds like they had a couple of dogs, actually survived this because they were barking and trying to get the attention, I guess, dogs are amazing, right? Man's best friend always, here in the end in the afterlife. They just are amazing. So they're trying to alert, and they lead, apparently the couple's dogs led officers to Hackman's body in the mudroom at the far end of the house. But the dog that needed the medication, my understanding is, and I'll double check this in the break, they had kenneled the dog. And when she died, and then Hackman, obviously he was not in a state of mind to know what was going on with anything. The dog ended up passing away. That dog ended up passing away in its kennel because it was locked in the kennel. So it's just,
yeah.
So my immediate assumption, there was carbon monoxide. It's just kind of what was just completely off base. It's just so off base. But this idea that they were alone. And you brought this up, Dave, that she is his caregiver. She's much younger, 30 years younger. Seems like she's in great health, right? Out running errands. And then hantavirus just traps her and kills her within a few hours. I mean, she'd probably already been exposed to it, but it just took over her body in just a matter of hours and killed her. What was your thought on that aspect of this?
Well, the hantavirus I didn't realize was as fatal as it is. In fact, I learned that it can come on and shows signs of essentially just the flu, but it has a mortality rate of 30 to 50% if you contract it, and it goes untreated, so highly deadly.
What I was surprised about is like nobody really checked on them, right? So nobody really checked on them until the maintenance worker showed up, and this worries me because a lot of times I live alone. I don't live alone now because my daughter's with me, but I've lived alone for quite some time, and I've often said, like, look, if I don't show up to work on a Monday morning, then something might have happened to me on a Friday night, and nobody will know.
Yes, and especially when you're dealing with this situation where you have a caretaker and you just assume, the caretaker, mom is taking care of dad, and you just kind of dismiss having to check on them on a daily or semi-regular way. So I wonder, what are people doing right now? I'd love to hear from our callers right now. When you have parents, how often do you check on them? What's the best way to do it? And I can tell you, there are some technological ways to keep track and make sure that everybody's doing okay. Technology plays a big role in this, but I'd love to hear from you folks. What are you doing? 801-575-TALK to check in on your elderly parents or the caretakers. What's the best way to do this? Because this is the nightmare. This is the heartbreaking scenario where someone can pass away and then 2 weeks go by before anyone knows.
Rebates and tax incentives sound great, but they can be a little bit of a headache when it comes time to claim them. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we try and make it as easy as possible for you to claim those rebates. We even have a rebate support specialist on our team to answer your questions and help you get every dollar your new furnace and air conditioner qualify for. You might not realize it, but right now, local utilities are offering over $2,400 in rebates, and there's another $3,200 available in federal tax incentives. That's over $5,600 in additional savings for qualifying heating and cooling upgrades. When you couple those rebates and incentives with Any Hour Services free furnace sale that's going on right now, even if you've just been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, it makes a lot of sense to schedule a free estimate and learn more. One of our HVAC supervisors can come to your home and explain everything. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing.
Dave and Dujanovic.
What do you do to check on your parents? After the death of Gene Hackman, 95 years old, his wife, who's 65 years old, and their dog, their bodies weren't discovered for 15 days and discovered by like a maintenance worker who happened to go by their home and was probably going to be there to do some work that day and found that the front door was ajar. Thought that was weird, obviously, and then started checking and then saw the body of Gene Hackman's wife through a window. Turns out Betsy died. She's 65 years old. She died 7 days before Hackman died, and she died of a rare, but it can be very deadly virus called the hantavirus, which comes from mouse droppings. Of all the things, I was shocked when the medical examiner said she died from hantavirus. He had Alzheimer's. He has a heart condition. He goes wandering around the house for 7 days before he collapses and dies in the mudroom on the other side of their 9,000 square foot home. And according to USA Today, his sunglasses and his cane were nearby. So I don't know if he felt like he was maybe just gone back from a walk or something like that. But he's deep into Alzheimer's. She's dying of the hantavirus. Their dog is also dead. And it seems like nobody checked on him.
And we would love to know, what are you doing for your parents or your grandparents to check in? What's the best way to do this? I'm not at this point in my life right now, but I will tell you, my mom, my dad passed away, about 25 years ago. So my mom has been widowed and living alone. And there's not a day where one of my siblings doesn't reach out or talk to her, or there's not something on the family group text. But my in-laws, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, we don't check on them regularly. They're highly independent, so we don't even think about that. We don't check in. There's nothing regular. They're in good health. But I would like to know, what is the best way to do this? Because I think we all run into this eventually. And the last thing, this would just horrify me. If something like this happened in our family where you go 2 weeks and you know that mom dies, dad is wandering the house alone. This is a huge house. This is a 9,000 square foot home that Hackman's living in. And he's wandering around until he dies. And then another week passes. So you got 2 weeks that have passed.
801-575-TALK. How many times a day, a week, a month do you check in on your parents? Dave, I'm interested in hearing how often you do check in on your mom, but I also want to know, this is an unusual circumstance, right? I mean, she's 65. I think the presumption would be she's healthy, running around caring for him, and doing all the things that need to be done. She was out that day, according to surveillance video they've seen and different stops that she's made. She was at CVS Pharmacy, but she shows up wearing a mask, okay, and apparently maybe picks up some medication. She sends an email to a massage therapist in the morning. That afternoon, she's seen at Sprouts Farmers Market in the Santa Fe area. She's there for 45 minutes. It's not like she just ran in and ran out. She's there probably shopping. Then makes it home at 5:15 in the afternoon. Seems like just an average day for anybody, right? Just an average day out running errands. And that's her last day on Earth. She dies that day from the hantavirus. So I'm wondering, Dave, because your mom lives alone, if you're more apt to check on her more frequently, and the assumption is, oh, mom and dad, they're checking on each other, right? They're checking on each other, and then so they're probably okay. I would certainly hear something, right? If something went wrong, mom or dad would call me. Well, in this case, it was both of them, and she was the one who died first. And
it's different, obviously, if you've got two together that are still able to care for themselves. When you're deep into Alzheimer's, as Gene Hackman was, 95 years old, you only have one person that can care for, and if something happens to them, we know about these life alert systems that you would probably put on, Gene Hackman. Maybe he had one of those things, but you don't really think about that for the caretaker.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if Gene was in any sort of state to know how to use a life alert. Lisa from Heber, you got a 92-year-old mother who lives across the country. What do you do to check in on her?
So because I work every day, I'm not the person that gets the text message, but my sister every morning gets a text from my mother saying I'm up. And there have been days, probably 4 or 5 that I can remember, my sister called me and said, I haven't heard from Mother yet. And it was just something that she had gotten up at night and couldn't go back to sleep. And then she was sleeping in. So it's a system that's worked for us.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no room for an anomaly, an abnormal moment, right? When you're worried about mom or dad or a loved one, when something weird happens and they're not getting a hold of you. I have that feeling when I check on my kids' location and I notice they're not in the place that they said they were going to be. And usually it's because the cell towers are all mixed up. But at one point, like, had my child who should have been in downtown Salt Lake, I'd put her in San Francisco or something like that, and I thought the worst. But that's a great system. But 92 years old, yeah, you'd be checking every single day.
There are many life alert systems that you can install in your home. That whether it's a wearable, you put it on your watch, or it's a ring. That will measure some of your vitals, and then if something happens, then it will send a 911 call, or it will alert the company. There's a lot of those things, but some of them are restricted, like they're only good for 1,300 square feet. So it's within a few rooms, say, and. But I think cellular technology, your Apple Watch, you can actually set those things up. If your watch is cellular connected and then your heart stops for some reason, then you can send out alert systems there as well.
And that's why I got an Apple Watch, is because I don't have to carry my phone around with me at all times. As long as I'm within range, I can use my particular Apple Watch to dial an emergency number or call my kids. Like that time I fell on the patio. And I had a hard time getting up.
A couple of our texts. My siblings and I have a Zoom call weekly with our parents. Another text said, my father's 96. I send him an email at least once a week, which I think touch and base is fantastic. My concern would be, if something were to happen in between that week, or maybe you don't call him that week, that's where it's a sad story here with the Hackmans. It's sad. And I think, we just need to be aware, what happens if the caretaker goes first.
Straight ahead, let's tell the story of the Honorable Kevin Christensen, a judge who sat on the bench in Box Elder County until the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force arrested him late last week.
At Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, our golden opportunity is back. The free furnace promotion is here and just in time for tax return season, and this time it's even better. Our free furnace promotion on any complete system replacement now includes no payments for 1 year. Free furnace, no payments. Now that's the Golden Rule. Visit goldenrulephc.com today.
We obey the rules to live by. Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
One of my favorite things about the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program is you can lose a bunch of weight without surgery, without injections. There's no complicated point counting metric that you've got to enter every single thing that you eat. That can be kind of a burden, and then you get a little bit loose on what you're counting and what you're not. No, there's no point counting with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. There's no insane exercising program that you have to follow. What it is a program that will help you lose up to a pound of fat per day. Many clients will lose 20 to 30 pounds in just a month or two. I lost 57 in 60 days, and I felt amazing. If you want to do it right now and try it out, you get a great spring special going on, $200 off the program. Just reach out to them, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I love to talk about NPS. It indeed is a nice
place to save, and they get their inventory. I get asked this all the time. Where does it come from? Overstock, unclaimed, refused shipments from various companies around the country and even around the world, and NPS acquires that and gives you savings of 20 to 70% each and every day. And then on top of that, each of their 4 stores, they'll have in-store deals that save you even more. You get the products that you want at unbelievable prices. And sometimes you'll find things that you weren't even looking for, but you end up absolutely loving. Treasure hunting at its best awaits you at NPS. And of course, you can get your groceries there too at very competitive prices. They're on North State Street in Orem, North Main Street in Layton, and in Salt Lake City, just off Redwood Road.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, a Utah mom and travel influencer is fighting for her life after being severely burned in a car accident in Mexico. Elise Caffey's family posted on her Instagram that she was involved in a 10-car pileup while on her way to a wedding in Cancun. A truck full of asphalt hit the car she was in, and it flipped, pouring the hot asphalt on top of the car. Caffey was flown back to Salt Lake City in a medical plane where she remains in critical condition. BYU and Utah men's basketball teams are gearing up for the Big 12 Conference Tournament this week. The Cougars will be the number 4 seed in the tournament and play either Iowa State, Oklahoma State, or Cincinnati in the quarterfinals.
We won't know who we're going to play till like 1:30 before the day we're supposed to play them at 11:30. That's insane. That's actually insane.
BYU head coach Kevin Young says they're going to focus on being the best version of themselves no matter who they play. Pre-game Thursday starts at 9 a.m. right here on KSL News Radio. 11-seeded Utah will be playing Central Florida in the opening round tomorrow night. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House is set to vote on a budget bill that could avert a government shutdown later this week. House Speaker Mike Johnson will likely need every member of the Republican caucus to vote yes to get it passed.
House Democrats have said that they are going to vote no. They've advised their members to vote no. They say that this government funding package doesn't do anything to protect entitlement programs, specifically Medicaid, which they say is on the hook for serious cuts in this Trump administration and in this new House Republican budget blueprint.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down 445 points. That's a full % down since opening bell. Coming up, beautiful spring weather for now. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
A special announcement from Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George.
Dave's Bernina has incredible deals on school machine buybacks, and they won't last long.
Buy a Bernina 1008 for $399, and the Bernina 350 is only $499. Save 50% and more with a 2-year guarantee and free classes on these previously loved machines.
It's time to buy a better machine and get a Bernina.
Save up to 20% off all new Bernina machines.
Take advantage of 20% off Bernina and Burnett presser feet.
1.99% 48-month financing.
The Bernina 735 is discounted and includes thousands of dollars of free accessories while supplies last. Come see the Bernina 990, the most amazing revolutionary sewing machine in the world.
Specially priced and receive over $2,000 worth of free Bernina accessories.
In business since 1960. Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Dave'sBernina.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we have these rolling slowdowns northbound I-15 as you make your way from Centerville into Farmington. It appears to be emergency pothole repair. We're trying to get word on that. We also have some delays southbound I-15 as you leave the Roy area, head into Clearfield. That's also due to some emergency road work. So it looks like UDOT is taking advantage of the nice sunny weather and dry roads. So just be aware you may run into a few unusual delays on your trek if you're out and about right now. But otherwise, we don't have any accidents reported and no other delays on major freeways. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunshine and a high of 62 today, much of the same until Thursday. When the wind starts to blow and our next storm system moves in, that storm could bring rain and possibly more snow to the valley floor on Friday. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 45 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Well, the headline at KSLTV.com reads, Box Elder judge arrested for child sex crimes. So let's talk about the story of the Honorable Kevin Christensen, a judge who sat on the bench in Box Elder County, which is in northern Utah, at least until the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force arrested him, caught up with him last week. We're going to talk about how the long arm of the law caught the judge who's now accused of using a chat app that I've learned more and more about this morning. We're going to talk about that as well. Accused of using that chat app, Dave, to say sexually explicit, I would say, just looking at the documents, the court documents, sickening things to teenagers. And I've showed you a photo of this judge online. What was your initial reaction when we pulled up his professional photo?
He's a judge out of Central Casting. Like every judge you've seen in Hollywood, he looks just like him. You know, gray hair, noble. He's wearing the robe, venerable. Like it very much just exactly like you'd picture a judge in Hollywood. That's what this judge looks like.
Well, also in a position of trust. You know, when you see a photo of a judge, I think they're They're to be trusted.
When you see that robe, it sends a message, which is in part why these judges still wear the robe, right? It sends a message.
You know, cops paint a picture of a secret life for this judge, quite frankly. And that secret life allegedly involved connecting with kids using a chat app called Kik. It's K-I-K. Never heard of it?
Never. No, it just made me realize, again, there are so many apps out there, chat apps, messaging apps, social media apps. I hadn't even heard of this one.
And here's the kicker to this. He's not the only man in a position of trust in northern Utah arrested recently for using, allegedly, this Kik app to connect with kids, accused of crimes using this same app to crimes involving children. So we're going to talk about what these two are accused of. And then we're also going to talk about this second layer to the story, and that is, what is Kik? And why I think parents need to be checking their kids' phones today to make sure your child has not downloaded and is, period, full stop, has not downloaded this app. And you need to also have the discussion, like, have you heard about this app? Are your kids, your friends telling you to download this app? So full stop, this app, in my view, should not be on your child's phone. And it's not just my view, actually, the app itself. In the terms and conditions, say if you're under 18, don't be on this app. But we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But let's start with the story of how Judge Kevin Christensen at Box Elder County got caught and arrested for crimes involving kids. And these crimes include things like enticing a minor, attempting to sexually exploit a child, among other crimes. He was arrested on numerous counts late last week. And when the cops made this arrest, they actually said at this time there's extensive evidence suggesting that this judge, the defendant, has communicated with multiple underage people online. And that there's also evidence supporting that he has engaged in distributing explicit material. They actually say child sexual abuse material over the internet. These are the crimes he's accused of committing. And we will, of course, follow the case and see where it goes and see what his defense is. But right now, that's where things stand. And it's, like I said, it is not just him, again, allegedly using this app, Kik. Let's talk about the story of the now fired fire chief in Tremont, Chief Hansen, end of January, arrested on 8 felonies for crimes involving children. Cops saying that there were videos and photos of young females, very explicit photos, and he was arrested on 8 separate counts of, 8 separate crimes involving these allegations involving children. So, also accused of using the app Kik to be involved in this alleged illegal activity. So twice in the past couple of months, we have seen 2 people in positions of authority, I'd say high positions of authority in northern Utah, taken into custody and arrested for using this app to exploit children. So we're going to talk more about the app in just a minute. But 2 in just a couple of months, I felt like we have to talk about this because we have to let parents know that this app is allegedly the vehicle that these 2 men, who again are in a position of authority, have been using to contact children.
And I think part of what is important about learning more about the app specifically, and why is it just coincidence that this app has been used in 2 very high-profile cases now? Or is there something about this app that is different from the endless number of apps that are already out there? We have texting, social media, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. We have a million different apps. What is it specifically about Kik that is enticing? Or perhaps what is the loophole in this app that allows kids to be exploited?
I would say you've got to be careful of any app.
For sure.
Whether it's the Snapchat with disappearing messages, or it's something online, it's Facebook Messenger, it's Instagram Messenger. I mean, these messages might potentially also be able to be deleted. It could be an email account.
But I want to talk specifically about what happened this morning, what I saw when I downloaded the app Kick, because I thought I can't report on this and talk about this unless I've actually know what this app is all about. And I downloaded it. It took me all of about 5 minutes. And it did lay out terms and conditions. And this activity is explicitly against the terms and conditions. You know, the stuff I've just talked about. It spells it right out there. It's not tolerated on the app. But I will say this. If you're a parent, you should know this. When I put my age in, it didn't ask me for any sort of verification. So I said I was 57 years old. I put my date of birth in. I put my actual date of birth in. It said I'm 50, and it just signed me up for the app. All I needed to do was give them, an email, and they sent a confirmation to that email address that I gave them, and I just clicked confirm, and that was it. Now, could I be a 13-year-old signing up for that app and pretend that I'm 57 years old? I don't see why not. From my experience signing on to the app today.
And as I've been doing some research on Kick, I think to that point, Kick stands out because of its focus on anonymity. It allows you to sign up without a phone number, without any sort of ID verification. You can just use an email and a username, and you can create a fake email and username in a very easy way. So that's one of the pluses of the Kick platform, is it does focus on anonymity. Now, there is a little qualifier there, right? When you were looking through those terms and conditions, this is not meant for the 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds.
It says it right there.
It's 18. Yeah. This is meant for adults.
So when I was diving through the terms and conditions and looking at it, I screen grabbed that. It says 18 years old. Okay, so they don't mince words on that app. They say if you're not 18, you don't belong on this app. And I would agree with Kick on that. I looked through some of the app just real quickly, because kind of getting an idea of it, and even the JPEG photos that I saw there, I was like, there is no way that I would think any child of mine would belong on that app. So I'm encouraging parents, tonight, you got to have that conversation with your kids about this app. Hopefully they'll tell you they never heard of it before. And check their phones, certainly like we should be doing, because they don't belong on the app, and even the app says they don't belong on the app. However, after we've had 2 arrests of people in positions of authority, one a judge, one a fire chief, in the last several weeks in northern Utah, both allegedly using this particular app to convey messages or share videos involving children, and they've been arrested and accused of these particular crimes. I thought, we got to talk about Kick. We've got to talk about this. And we also should be talking about age verification, or at least parental consent from somebody out there in the tech world before our children have access to these apps at all. Because like I said, when I signed up for it, Dave, they didn't ask me to do Face ID or upload my driver license. I just put in my date of birth, and I was like, any child could pretend to be 50 years old and sign up for that app, from the experience I had this morning signing up from it.
And Kick is not a new app that just came out. It's been around since 2010. I just learned that. It's been around for a long time. But again, its niche is anonymity. That is the key. That's what it wants to be able to provide anonymous chats, and that's it's what it's trying to do. And you can see obviously from these allegations of how it would be abused.
So with my concern about some sort of parental involvement before these types of apps are downloaded by kids, let's turn to State Senator Todd Weiler. I felt like when I was downloading this app this morning, this is exactly what your legislation is designed to protect against. It's designed to get parents involved, to make sure they know that their kids are downloading these apps, and to just say, no, you can't do it. Talk about that.
Yeah, so by the way, I've never heard of this app before this judge was arrested. Never heard of this judge before he was arrested. He's a what we call a justice court judge, so a little bit below the radar, not nominated by the governor or confirmed by the state senate like a state court judge is. But yeah, so if my legislation were in effect and your child tried to download Kick, you would get a notification as the parent, and you'd have an opportunity to accept the terms and conditions or review them or reject them and to stop the download, if you will. So that's exactly what Senate Bill 142 is designed to do.
What do you make of these apps that their niche is to promote anonymity, where you can chat anonymously, even though this one specifically is supposed to be just for adults 18 and older? That's very clear. What's your thoughts on that? These ones that are designed for the very anonymity that perhaps we're trying to remove.
Yeah, I remember when Snapchat came out. I still had teen kids, and I thought, oh, that's obviously for one particular purpose.
Yes.
If the messages are to disappear, it's obviously so the parents can see it. And I guess I'm unimpressed by the fact that Kick's terms and conditions prohibit this, because I'm wondering if that wasn't done with a wink.
Well, I've got a little bit more on that in just a minute.
It's hard for me to believe that they don't know or suspect what their app is being used for, but that's just conjecture on my part.
Well,
but if I'm not mistaken, I think that the fire chief that you guys referenced was also on this app. So
yeah.
it sounds like that adults with this addiction, I'm going to call it an addiction, tend to gravitate towards that app.
But I want parents to know, like, when this legislation that passed up on the Hill requires these app stores to be able to reach out to the parents and say thumbs up or thumbs down to your child downloading this app. How will that play out in a parent's life starting when this law takes effect this summer?
Yeah, you'll just have a pop-up on your screen that says, your so-and-so is trying to download this app. Did you want to accept the terms and conditions, yes or no? And then I think it would give you a link to the terms and conditions to review them. And then we give the parent an opportunity to do what you did, Debbie, and say, what the heck is this app? What is it all about? And, what's it for? And how long has it been around? And why does, or just go have a conversation with your kids saying, why are you downloading this app? What are you hoping to do with this?
And the App Store will know that Johnny is my child who's trying to download this app because what? My email's attached to Johnny's App Store account?
Well, when Johnny created his account for the App Store, Johnny had to give his birth date, and maybe he lied, maybe he didn't, but they're also going to know. So let me just say, I get ads that are targeted to a 57-year-old man, because you and I are the same age, Debbie, and I'm guessing, you get ads that are targeted to a 57-year-old woman, and our 13-year-olds are getting ads that are targeted to them. So the app stores and these developers, they know exactly how old we are from hundreds of different indicators. But in the future, these teens will, and even younger than teens, will be required to tether their accounts to their parents. And they're already doing that, Deb, for like kids under the age of 11.
Okay.
So we're just taking that existing model and saying, no, this has to apply to all minors, not just the ones that you think are too young to accept terms and conditions.
Do we need to do anything for this? Do I need to check a box, or will this just pop up on my phones?
No, it'll just pop up, and you might at some point. I think the teens are, if this goes into full effect and the courts don't stall it, I think there might be a certain point where your teens are going to have to tether their account to either you or your wife's phone or both of their phones.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. And that launches when? At what point?
July 1st.
Okay. So and just a few months out.
And it's the first in the nation, right, Todd?
It's the first in the nation. We've got about 8 other states that are running similar legislation. So we'll see if those pass.
Well, I will be watching. We will be watching when that kicks into effect in July to see how that works, and if it gives parents some. Certainly, I hope it gives parents some peace of mind. But I don't think it lets us off the hook. We still have to be checking up on our kids to make sure they're not being contacted by strangers and creeps over the internet.
What I like about this is he was describing the process. If your kid tries to download, say, Kik, for example, and then it pops up on my phone, I've never heard of Kik. I have no idea if it is a video game. I have no idea if it's a social media platform. But all I did was I went into Google and I said, what makes the Kik app unique? And this is what pops up at the very first description. It says, Kik distinguishes itself through its emphasis on anonymity. That right there tells me, I don't need to read any further, but that is like denied. If I get that from my kid, I'm like, absolutely not. If you're looking for anonymity, then you are 100% getting that denied, and then you just bought yourself a good old conversation with Dad.
Well, on the flip side of that, I would say anonymity didn't exactly work out well for the judge or the fire chief, because obviously law enforcement was able to track them down and arrest them on these allegations. And in fact, in the case of the fire chief in Tremont, they actually tracked him down at his home. And what I've learned from reading those court documents is that it was Kik.
Kik turned him in?
That reported the fire chief.
Oh, wow.
To the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that then passes along the tip to local law enforcement. So that's how they figured out where that trail led to and why they ended up knocking on the front door of the fire chief's house just a couple of months ago.
Jeff Kaplan.
When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Oftentimes, we will do stories here in the news where we learn about drugs and drug seizures, and we just saw 50,000 fentanyl pills that were found, and cops were able to get a hold of those. This is a massive problem in the state, in the country. So if you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, you are not alone, but you may not know what to do. You may not know where to go and who can help you with some of these struggles. Well, let me tell you about Renaissance Ranch.
Yeah, Renaissance Ranch offer these free online classes, and you don't even have to have a family member attending Renaissance Ranch or enrolled in Renaissance Ranch. You can join from anywhere, anytime that there's a class being held. And these classes are taught from a spousal point of view, a parent's point of view, a personal perspective, and they're all done online, and they are free.
And the reason they offer these kind of classes and resources is because the research has shown when you have loved ones involved in the recovery process that the chances of a positive outcome skyrocket. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. Just go to their website, renaissanceranch.com.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep.
But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
The murder of 2 men forces their families to wrestle with impossible questions. Who is forgiveness for? Does everyone deserve a second chance? Follow Season 2 of The Letter, Ripple Effect, at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. This morning, we're learning about a child in Eagle Mountain that was flown to the hospital after falling from a second-story window. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 6 p.m. yesterday. The child is 5 years old and has a serious head injury, but we are told it is not life-threatening. The gender pay gap is slowly narrowing nationally, according to the Pew Research Center. But here in Utah, some say we have a long way to go.
Right now, the Wallet Hub ranking puts us at dead last, meaning that we have the biggest pay gap in the nation.
Director of the Utah Women in Leadership Project, Susan Madsen, says the problem is multifaceted. To solve the issue, she would like to see more legislation put in place to create transparency in salaries. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The on-again and off-again tariffs are again causing ripples on Wall Street.
It is causing a lot of confusion on Wall Street, uncertainty for American businesses who, of course, have to handle that higher cost when they're bringing these products into the country. And experts and economists are warning that that cost, of course, gets passed on to American consumers.
ABC's Karen Travers says President Trump has signaled he will impose retaliatory tariffs on most of the U.S.'s global trading partners next month. Speaking of that, your money at this moment, the Dow is down 445 points. That's a full percent to 42,356. Coming up, beautiful spring weather for the next 3 days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now.
Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Let's head over to the traffic center, check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, our biggest delays right now are leaving the Riverdale Road area, heading into Sunset. It's due to emergency pothole repair. The right lane is blocked. Only 2 left lanes are open. So traffic pretty slow through that stretch. And once you get past it, everybody's back to freeway speeds all the way into downtown Salt Lake. And the earlier rolling pothole repairs that were going on through Davis County have also been taken care of, so no delays there. And it looks like we're crash-free on all the city streets. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show Saturday and Sunday, March 15th and 16th at the Mountain America Expo Center. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. We have 3 days with a lot of sun and highs in the lower 60s. Then the next storm system moves in Thursday, bringing rain first. And we could see some snow on the valley floor on Friday. Right now, it is partly cloudy in Salt Lake City and 45 degrees. In Provo, it's a little bit warmer, 47 degrees. Ogden, a little bit cooler, 43 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If y'all are feeling drowsy because of daylight saving time and you lost an hour of sleep, this story is going to wake you up, because I think it's going to make a lot of people really angry about what some of their fellow employees are up to. So there's this poll out, this survey out that our producer Caitlin caught last week. Caitlin, you're going to have to remind me what entity did this survey so we can give them credit. But 1 in 3 Utah employees work an unofficial 4-day week. So 33% of Utah employees, according to this survey that was done by a law firm out of California.
Bisnar Chase.
Yes, Bisnar Chase. Says that they might pretend like they're working 5 days a day, but they're actually sliding into the weekend a day early and working a 4-day week.
That is a chunk of Utahns.
Yeah, you're bold.
Like 30-something% of you, 30+% are just like, you know what? I work 5 days, but you know what? I'm gonna try to hide it a little bit and unofficially work. This is the problem. I have no problem with working 4 days. I think working 4 10s is a fantastic way, and I think there's enough data out there that has proven that working 4 10s versus 5 8s, there's really no difference as far as productivity. Now, there's some jobs where you've got to be on site. I get that. But largely, when being present, productivity doesn't drop. The unofficial 4 days is where it crosses the line.
Bugs you.
Absolutely bugs me, because you're just cheating the company, right? If you're taking the day off and you're not telling your boss, it's because you probably feel a little guilty or you're trying to hide it from him. And that is where the problem is.
You're such a company man. You really are. I think about it like you're cheating the coworkers. That's where it bugs me. You're cheating your coworkers who are left behind at the office to be seen. So they can look across the room and see exactly what you're doing. Is she online? Is she on the phone? Who's she on the phone with? But if you're working from home, you won't be seen. Certainly, right? Not necessarily. I mean, maybe you think there's technology that catches these. No. Apparently, there's not. There's ways around this technology, and we're going to talk about it in just a minute. But this really started with the pandemic, right? When we slammed the doors shut at the office and we sent 95% of people home, and then companies were scrambling to figure out a way to make work from home effective. And a lot of companies did. I mean, I think there's some where you just can't. If you're a cop, sorry.
You got to show up.
You can't
right.
patrol from the, kitchen. You got to show up, right? If you are a 911 operator, same thing. Firefighter, same thing. We need you out there. I stayed here at the office. You went home. And you were literally broadcasting from your mother's basement every single day down the street from your home. I did not look on the FaceTime call, because we do a FaceTime call, because the thing is even though we're on the radio, it's kind of tricky to time each other.
Yeah.
And our thoughts, like we can read each other's minds now because we have been together for so long. I know when you're going to stop talking mostly, and you do me. I never looked at the FaceTime call like, is that a sandy beach in Florida you're broadcasting from? Or is that Mama's paneled basement?
I was a little bit torn on that, because I purposely never broadcast from anywhere other than my mother's basement, because I thought it looked bad. I have family that lives up in Bear Lake and family that lives down in St. George. I very easily could have been broadcasting every single day from Bear Lake. You would have heard absolutely no difference than me broadcasting from my mom's basement. Like, technologically, there is no difference. You couldn't tell a difference. But I thought it sent this bad message. If I was up there broadcasting and then, we're hitting the water afterwards.
Living your best life.
Yeah, living my best life and vacationing.
Well, I masked up in the newsroom.
Totally, right? I felt guilty. I'm like, it seems wrong. It probably wasn't, right? What you do in your free time is what you do in your free time. Like, you do your job. But I would have absolutely talked to my boss. I would have said, hey, is it all right if I go up and broadcast from Bear Lake? And the only questions I think our boss would have had was, okay, do you have a good signal? Is there going to be a technological problem with it? I don't think it would have been a problem. You just have to be up front about it.
I think he would have also asked you, what did Deb say when you asked her?
Yeah. Can you feel the jealousy dripping from her fangs? Because that's not going to go over great.
Well, I appreciate you being so committed to the show that you weren't willing to leave Mom's basement for 2 years almost, right? You broadcasted
18 months.
there 18 months.
In retrospect, I probably should have. I probably should have.
So.
I shouldn't have felt guilty about it, because
I agree.
What's happening now is people are doing this. They're grabbing a fifth day. Hey, I'm working remotely, but really, and they're being shady about it. So that's where it crosses the line.
To your point, 23%, according to the survey, worked from vacation destinations without telling their employer.
And that's the problem.
It feels sneaky.
Yeah, it's totally sneaky.
47% took work calls from their cars. I mean, that's like a Tuesday for me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a big problem with that. Like, but you've been a photographer before you did this, and I was a news reporter, and so I worked from my car. Like, my car was my roving newsroom, so that to me is not a big deal. Maybe it is for other people.
Well, the problem is where you're taking the phone call from the car and you're pretending like, oh, no, I'm just on the second floor in the office.
Oh, so you're lying.
Yeah, it's just the deception. I don't think anybody has a problem if you're upfront about it. Hey, I'm taking this phone call from the car.
Sense.
I'm driving in. I'm gonna go hit I got a doctor's appointment. Everyone's gonna understand that. It's the deceit here. I think that's the larger story, is how willingly we deceive our employee, our employer, and our coworkers.
Dave and I talking about this survey that dropped says 1 in 3 Utah employees work unofficial 4-day weeks. And we're talking about how they manage to do that. There's some tech things they do too, but I want to just hit on this before we get there. More than 20% answered calls. This one bugs me, from poolside or beaches. I mean, yeah, talk about living your best life. from the beach? Come on. I can hear the ocean behind you. Do you mind? I hear the lifeguard yelling at your kids in the background.
That's a riptide.
Come on,
Get
at
out
least
of that.
Fake it a little bit. 15% worked from hotels or Airbnbs in other cities. I had a friend who did that. Got an Airbnb in California. I thought that's a really great idea. Like, why would you? And I think to some degree, why would you not if you're cooped up in your home working?
Right.
I drove back and forth to work every single day during the pandemic, and nobody felt sorry for me.
You felt sorry for yourself.
Well, you know what was so odd about it is there's odd and awesome about it at the same time. There's nobody on the roads, so the drive time was nothing. And then coming in the newsroom, that was the saddest part for me is just our family, KSL family, always hopping around, swapping stories, yelling across the newsroom when we get a big story or whatever. That was gone. It was just too quiet. But there's also some digital things that folks are doing to make it seem like they're on the job when they're really not. We're going to talk about those in about 3 minutes, but we also want your live calls, 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Would it bug you if your fellow employee, your coworker, was working from a sunny beach in Florida like it would me? I'd be bugged.
Would you snitch?
Yes.
That's the question, if they are out taking an illegal, fifth day
100%.
there, would you snitch? Love to hear from you. 801-575-TALK. Is that cross a line to the point where you're like, it's not really snitching? It's not that bad. 801-575. Or is snitching never appropriate?
Ooh, ma.
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
On September 12th, 1995, 12-year-old McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas. It was a crime that shocked the community because the suspect was so unlikely, so unexpected.
Former high-ranking police official. He'd run for sheriff at one point.
Law enforcement personnel were pretty much split down the middle over whether or not he actually did this.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, still feels that justice was never truly served.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Would it bug you if one of your coworkers was working from a vacation spot, like the beach, and didn't bother to tell the boss, because they're socially distancing, and still, yes, they're still doing it. They're working from home, but they're really working beachside or poolside. 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live calls. We're talking about this because a survey came out that said 1 in 3 Utah employees work an unofficial 4-day week. And I thought we were done with that. I thought we were all getting back to the office now, but these folks who are still socially distanced are figuring a way to cut their work weeks.
Doge is for these folks, right? That are showing up 4 days out of the work week, and then they're sneaking away somehow for that 5th day and taking an unofficial 5th day off. And this is where the crackdowns happen. The biggest problem I have no problem with 4-day work weeks. I think they're fantastic. If you can do it, then I think the data has shown that you can be as productive working 4-10s as you are 5-8s. I love it. But where you get shady, where you cross the line, is where you're hiding it from your coworkers and your employer. And if I found that out and you were just, I think snitching is fine at that point.
I would totally. I'd be the first one in the boss's office. I wouldn't even do it anonymously. I mean,
you would announce it with a bullhorn.
Let the fallout continue, happen with my job. If you got upset at me, Dave, if you were, well, I think the thing is, I would have said, go. You and your family should be up at, for example, Bear Lake when you're broadcasting every single day from Mama Barb's basement. I mean, she's gracious enough to get you. She probably would have loved it if you would have gone up to Bear Lake for a week or something like that. Give her a break a little bit. I mean, your mom loves you, but still, give me a little bit of a break. 23%, according to the survey, worked from vacation destinations without informing their employers. And 21% answered calls from the poolside or from beaches. I mean, like, how egregious is that? Like, hello, and I'm like, is that the ocean I hear behind you? No, not at all.
No, that's the water running in the back. That's not a waterfall. That is the sink. It's running.
In a moment, I'm going to give you the list of tactics that some of these folks say they're using in order to make it appear that they're working, because there's some technology that helps it look like they're still working when they're actually not really working. But we're taking your live calls, 801-575-TALK. Would it bug you if your coworker was working from the beach, and would you snitch on them?
Nick in Layton, what do you think?
I think it all depends on what your job is and the relationships you have with your boss. I get calls on weekends. I get calls at night. I take care of them. My boss is okay with that. My other coworkers, some of them do the same, some of them don't. So I think it all depends on your relationship.
Yeah.
It's not really my business to get into my workers' relationship with their bosses.
Okay.
No snitching. I love it, Nick.
You'd be a great coworker. Pat, good morning. So you work for a company. You said you traveled a lot.
Yeah, I worked for a couple of German companies and one here, and I traveled extensively. It was awful, but it was fun every day. And I worked way back also when we didn't have iPhones, and there's no checking on me except what I was producing and where I was supposed to be seeing. And I did that whenever I did, but I wanted to make money, so I was always working. But I worked from beaches and other countries and all over the place. But most of the time, I'd say 75% of the time, they had no idea where I was.
Ah.
And there's certain high performers, right, that get that. If you can produce, then we don't care how many hours you put in, that if you do the job, then that's all that matters. Again, I think there is a level of trust there. And if you are highly trustworthy and you are getting the job done, then maybe your jealous coworkers need to zip their lips.
Hi, Cricket.
Hello.
So you like the idea of working remotely?
Oh, absolutely. My entire company went fully remote last April, and everybody works great. I don't know if we just got lucky and got a whole group of high performers, but as long as everybody is getting their work done, high quality, and responsible to one another and our clients, I don't mind where they are, and I don't feel like I need to know where they are either unless they want to invite me to go along with them.
Okay.
We're going road trip, team building activity. Is there something that would rupture that trust, or at what point does it cross that line?
I haven't had them cross it. I don't know actually what that would be. That's a good question.
Okay.
I think it's really
Let me give you the list, Cricket. Well, thank you for the phone call. I'll give you the list of other tactics that this survey found that people were using to make it look like they were actually working. 13% say they use a mouse jiggler to make it look like they're active online. 56% set their status to on a call when they really weren't on a call. See, this is where I start to get, bugged. Like, now you're just trying to fool us. 26% marked themselves as away for a quick lunch, but then disappeared for hours. Here's another one for Friday work avoidance strategies. 42% admitted they send strategically timed emails to create the appearance of working. And then 26% of them said, hey, we maintain an active status online, so it shows you active, but you actually aren't really doing that much work. So, like, the layers of deception, right? If you're working from the beach and you're really working from the beach, okay. But if you're working from the beach only to time out strategically placed and dropped emails and inboxes, that ain't really working.
Yeah. And when you have that level of trust and your employer fully gives you the autonomy, just go out, do your work, I don't care where you do it, that's awesome. That really speaks highly of you. But we can't ignore the fact that that could bring up a lot of jealousy amongst your coworkers. And the idea that you look at the list of the top distractions when you are working remotely: household chores, that's 40%. Playing video games, 30% of people are playing video games. 22% are binge watching TV or exercising and taking long walks. Right? That's where, if you knew that's what they were doing while you're grinding it out in the office, that's going to lead to a huge amount of jealousy.
Next, let's talk about daylight saving time. We're stuck in daylight saving time once again. Utah lawmakers decided not to push forth a plan that would have dealt with daylight saving time. So here we are again. And earlier in the show, Dave pitched what I thought was the preposterous idea of slowly but surely winding your clock back a few seconds every single day, week after week, in order to make up for that lost hour of sleep that he so sadly endured this weekend. So we really wouldn't notice the time disappearing. Well, it turns out one of our colleagues did just that, Dave. He's a photographer with KSL5 television. And he did this. He experimented with this, and he's going to tell us how his experiment turned out next.
If there's a problem during your siding, gutter, or window installation project, most contractors will try to hide it, ignore it, or blame someone else. It's called passing the buck or turning a blind eye, or my favorite, finger pointing. My question is, where is the accountability? Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and look, sometimes problems just happen, no matter who you hire. Maybe the wrong color siding gets delivered, despite the order being placed perfectly. Or maybe a downspout gets cut short. Honestly, it could be anything. At RGS Exteriors, mistakes are rare. But if something goes wrong, I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you we'll never hide it, and we'll never pass the buck. We'll make certain everything turns out right for you. That's people over profits. That's the RGS Exteriors way. For a free estimate on siding, gutters, or windows, call 801-280-3110, rgsexteriors.com, rgsexteriors.com.
With 415,000 Utahns and 1 in 6 Utah kids facing hunger, Utah Food Bank, Macy's Grocery, Lee's Marketplace, and Lynn's need your help to fight hunger statewide. Simply fill a bag with non-perishable food donations and put it at your doorstep by 9 a.m. on Saturday, March 15th to support the Feed Utah Food Drive. Donations will be picked up by volunteers and can be the difference between hunger and hope. Learn more about how you can be a part of the statewide effort at utahfoodbank.org/feedutah.
If something were to blow off of your car, you would be responsible for the damage. But what happens if an orange construction barrel damages your car? I'm KSL investigator Matt Gephardt, and I'll show you what you need to know before driving through a construction zone on a windy day. Tonight at 10.
Feeling frustrated? Ignored? Deceived? It's time to get Gephardt. Get Gephardt, weeknights at 10 on KSL.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account imported on $60 plan. First service charge and tax to its sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place?
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
Built with players no one else wanted.
We knew no one believed in us.
Reached the league's highest heights.
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
Russell has made a champion out of Real Salt Lake. How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're driving to work or you're driving the kids to a soccer game, we're your in-car companions.
People will come up to me and say, "Oh, I talk to you every day. You don't realize it because I'm talking at the radio, but I talk to you every day."
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. There's questions about the future of student loans and financial aid programs as President Trump continues to make big changes to the Department of Education. Michelle Rowe has a story.
Most college students would be affected if the Department of Education is dismantled, according to Newsweek. The Department of Education handles student loans and other financial aid programs to the tune of $1.6 trillion. President Trump is expected to sign an executive order which would largely shutter the DOE, though legal experts say this would require approval by Congress. Supporters of this move say it would return education to a more grassroots form, leaving education decisions more locally based. Others warn it would leave many without financial aid. Michelle Rowe, KSL News Radio.
The Department of Education oversees Pell Grants, subsidized loans, and loan forgiveness programs, as well as other financial aid programs. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House is expected to vote tomorrow on a GOP-crafted spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. The House is expected to vote. House Democrats say they won't be on board this time because there's nothing in the bill to prevent further DOJ-related cuts. It has to pass by Friday night or the shutdown will take place. Your money at this moment, things are in the red. The Dow has lost 575 points. The S&P is down 133 points. The NASDAQ is off 668 points. Coming up, beautiful spring weather for now. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
We still have a bit of delay southbound I-15 between Riverdale Road in Weber County, almost to about 650 south or 650 north in Clearfield. It's due to emergency pothole repair. Now that hole has been fixed, but crews are right now just removing the barriers that had closed off the right lane so they could fix it. So it'll take a few more minutes for all those lanes to reopen, and then the delay should clear out. The good news is you don't have any other issues right now across the Wasatch Front. Things look good in Utah and Salt Lake valleys, as well as coming out of Twilla County on SR 36 and I-80. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunshine and a high today of 62 degrees. We'll get similar weather for the next couple of days until Thursday when the wind starts to blow and our next storm system moves in. That storm could bring rain and possibly more snow to the valley floor on Friday. Right now it's 45 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
If you're like Dave, you're crying all over the office today about daylight saving time and the fact that you lost 1 hour of sleep over the weekend.
I feel like I got hit by a truck. I just feel awful. I feel awful all week long, and at this point, it may just be psychosomatic. I might just be all in my head about it, but I feel awful, and I'm going to feel awful all week, so let me just be miserable, Deb.
Well, I think science is on your side, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But as for me, how am I feeling? Frankly, I've never felt better. As soon as the clock sprung forward, I too sprung up out of bed yesterday. So excited that as of yesterday, there's only 103 days left until summer. Today, 102 days left. And I love the fact that it stays lighter later. I'm in my element, Dave, and you can't take it away from me no matter how Debbie Downer you are about this moment.
You're just like, you know what I could really do is start a good 8:45 hike up in the mountains. That's what I'm looking for, is a good late night hike with some sunshine. It's crazy how late it stays stays bright. It's miserable. It messes up everyone's circadian rhythms. So, again, you said science is on my side. Science could not be more on my side, Deb.
Well, Utah lawmakers were trying to tackle this too this year. And we'll talk more about this in just a moment as to the reasons why. But this has gone back and forth over the years. I think lately it's become a talking point for politicians. I never really thought it was that big of a deal. In fact, I rather enjoyed these late summer evenings growing up in Arizona, in a state that doesn't observe any sort of clock switching. I felt, I'd like to try this. And the moment I moved here, 1990, it was just a few months. I moved here before we sprung forward. And the minute we sprung forward, I'm like, I'm all in. But the Utah legislature trying to put this issue to bed once and for all for Utah did not quite get it across the finish line, which is so often the case when we talk about legislation involving daylight saving time. I'm like, this is like a yo-yo. Some politicians want to do something about it and keep us on standard time. Others argue it's not good one way or the other for industry or this or that. And so we end up with another nothing burger this legislative session when it comes to daylight saving time. So here we are, and you get to cry your way all the way through the data about how bad daylight saving time is for our health, Dave.
So we're split whether you want it to be daylight saving time year-round or you want it to be standard time. It's pretty evenly split. Some people like standard, some like daylight saving. What we are unified in is none of us like the falling backward, forward, or no one likes that. Like, whether you like the more daylight, nobody likes losing an hour and then gaining an hour and then having to reshift everything. So that we're committed on. We just can't figure out which one we want to choose, which one we want to fall on. So that's why nothing ever happens. But this is what stood out to me. CBS has wrote a great little article on this and broke it down with a neurologist from Vanderbilt. And what they found is the fallback doesn't really affect anybody, right? You fall back, you gain that hour. Health-wise, it really doesn't affect anybody. The spring forward, what we just went through yesterday, that is where we're seeing health problems pop up. More strokes, more heart attacks, and more teenage sleep deprivation. So this is what we need to look at and address and say, come on, there are serious, legitimate health reasons to stop doing this little dance back and forth.
I totally buy off on the teenage sleep deprivation. Totally. Because anybody who's raised a teenager knows kids need all the sleep. And when they get enough sleep, they need more sleep. All right. They're growing. They're tired. They got too much on their plate. They're burnt out on all things like sports and academics and everything. They're tired. So I buy into that. And I know it has something to do with like messing with the melatonin in our system, the hormone that helps us sleep. I buy into that.
So the later the sunlight lasts, it prevents or delays the release of melatonin because, your body doesn't start shutting down until it starts getting dark. So when you spring forward an hour, that just kind of pushes the melatonin release later. Again, according to a doctor, not Dave. So you push that back. Well, puberty does the same thing for teenagers. That's why it's unique to teenagers is puberty releases melatonin later or kind of delays it. So you're getting the double whammy.
The discussion about the heart attacks and the strokes just kind of comes at me out of the blue. I've been doing this back and forth thing for 35 years, and I've not once woken up holding my heart.
I haven't had a heart attack.
No, I know. Which is, all right, I don't mean to diminish anybody who has a health concern regarding their heart. I haven't seen that from myself or anybody I know. So that one feels more like a stretch. It also feels like we also assign fault for heart attacks and strokes based on, how many hamburgers we ate, how much red meat we consumed, how much alcohol we drank over our lifetime, or how much exercise we don't get. So that just seems to be the catch-all to me. When I hear that, I go, oh, yeah, well, that's, that once again. And now you have to add daylight savings time to that disastrous concoction that could kill you on a dime. That's how I look at that. I'm not completely convinced on that one. The teens, the sleeping, yeah. Heart attacks, strokes, I'm not totally sold.
Well,
I know.
I'm not sure.
I know.
I'm just telling
I'm
you
not
what.
expecting you to argue on behalf of all neurologists. I know. I'm just making. I'm making a statement.
Your
here.
anecdotal experience.
But you felt like you feel like you've come up with a minute by minute, literally living backwards kind of solution here that I think it's time for you to share with our listeners.
Okay, let me see. Let me walk you through this. You tell me if this warms up, your appetite to change things up a little bit. I think. Again, we cannot agree whether we like daylight saving time or standard time. We're split, basically 50-50. Would you agree that the extremes are not great? Whether it's the sun's not showing up until 9 a.m. and the sun doesn't go down until 9 p.m. or 9:30, like the extremes on both ends, I think are problematic. Would you agree with that?
I will agree. For the sake of this argument, you got me. Okay.
You will concede that point. Okay. So we don't have wind-up watches anymore. If you want to check, I mean, maybe some hardcore watch enthusiasts do, but largely, what do you do to check your time? You pull out your phone. You look at what time it is, or you look at your digital watch. I'm not rich enough to roll with the Rolex, so I'm not having to wind up my Rolex. So we're checking it digitally anyway. Why don't we just say, hey, Internet, let's just make that small adjustment 15 to 30 seconds a day and adjust the clock. We'll never feel the difference. There's not going to be some big 1 hour change from day to day. We're just going to change 15 seconds a day. You'll never notice the difference. We'll just work on one universal clock, and that way we'll just have a reasonable amount of daylight in the morning and in the evening. Problem solved. We don't use analog watches anymore.
And is this because lawmakers aren't being able to put this issue to bed once and for all, that you feel like it's time that we take Dave's idea at hand and do something about it?
Yeah.
Like incrementally back up the clock, kind of live backwards, and to the point where we get to an hour, we've shaved off the clock. This is the third time this morning I've heard this argument, and I'm starting to buy into it.
Maybe it's not crazy.
Well, maybe if you have a fourth time,
it's a crazy level 7 now for you. It was a crazy level 2.
It was like
at 4 a.m.
It was like off the charts at 4 o'clock this morning. We start pitching this. We're talking about daylight saving time. Why? Because we're in it. If you don't know it, you're late.
You showed up an hour late to
If
work.
you don't know that, you're late. And most of our clocks do switch automatically now, but except for the one in my car, did not. I noticed it showed me leaving an hour before I actually left. So I need to fix the clock on my own. But somebody's actually taken your experiment to heart, but I don't think it's based on anything that you've said here, because Greg Anderson, a photographer, photojournalist here at KSL5 Television, has done this. He did it as an experiment. Greg, good morning. Share with us, share with Dave, how you backed up your clocks and what started this experiment.
Sure, yeah. Well, I decided, what if, and this was about 3 weeks ago, I realized, I haven't done anything about daylight saving time, and I have a huge clock collection anyway, so I'd like to do something special just for me. What can I do? And I thought, it's about 3 weeks, so about 20 days. What if I set the clock ahead 3 minutes every day for 20 days, and then I would make it right on time and get the full hour right on the day it's supposed to happen. So I have one wall of clocks near the room where we all watch TV together. And this one wall has about 10 or 15 clocks just on that side of the room.
Well, you're quite the collector.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
analog clocks.
Analog and digital.
Okay, both.
I took 2 of them, and I started setting them ahead 3 minutes a day. So I didn't want to confuse the rest of my family, and my wife would get very annoyed if she wasn't sure what time was the real time.
Yeah.
Especially when you have...
I get that.
The rest of the world is on the real time.
Well, and I've got 15 clocks on the wall that are all they're perfectly synchronized most of the time, because that's what I do. And some of them are automatic, so they do that. So I chose 2 of them in particular. Said, okay, now this will be majority rules on the clocks. You're going to see what the real time is, but these 2 over here are going to be different every day. And so I tried that. Plus, I have one watch that will show me on the top line one time and on the second line another time. So I had a watch that I wore all through those 3 weeks that showed me the current time and my adjusted time on the same watch.
Good, because as a television news photographer, you are on deadline every single day.
I can't change when they're going to do the newscast.
Right.
I have to be.
That makes sense.
So that's what I did, and just trying. I knew I wasn't going to fool myself into this is the real time, but I just thought this will at least get my mind in the right frame to think of, okay, we're gradually getting there for the full hour. So for the most part, it worked, and I would try to get up. I mean, the main part was my alarm clock to wake up in the morning. That one I had to keep myself going diligently so I could make the full 1 hour adjustment. And for the most part, it worked. And then Saturday, we did a family activity that just completely threw off our schedule. So, but what it turned out was we had kind of an early dinner on Saturday. So I thought, oh, this is great. Now we're going to just think of it for the rest of the day. From dinner time onward, we're just going to pretend it's the new time already. And we'll have a nice, easy adjustment as a family. It sort of worked, sort of didn't work.
So everybody has to be on the experiment, I guess, it sounds like. So how did you feel when you woke up on Sunday? Did you feel like Dave, who says he, quote, feels like he got hit by a truck? Or did you feel like me, who feels like, quite frankly, I was... What was the verdict from your clock experiment?
I was doing really well, and then I had a bad dream, and I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, which was the new time, which my body would have thought it was 4:30 in the morning, and I had a hard time yesterday morning because of that. I mean, I was so close, and then a bad dream threw me completely off. However, I will say, because I worked yesterday for the TV news, by the time we got into the evening newscast and especially the 10 o'clock newscast, I was fully on board. It felt like 10 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
And so I think I'm okay now.
That's interesting.
Well, the thing is, and this is what's difficult, you're trying to live, one way, and your family's living a totally different way. This is why I think my solution would be so perfect, is if we just had one internet clock that we all lived by, and it was making small little adjustments throughout the year, then we're all playing the same game. Like, part of the problem before technology took over the clocks is everyone was trying to wind it up and stay on the same minute. I think this would work out perfectly.
Did you find, though, that you were like kind of trying to trick your mind for that 3 weeks you did this experiment?
I was hoping I would, but unfortunately I had dozens of clock telling me otherwise. So, but I just keep looking at my watch and go, okay, you got to start behaving, at least when it comes to going to bed and waking up by this new time that I was experimenting with.
Now, as a news photographer, you spent time this last session up on Utah's Capitol Hill, right, Greg?
Yeah, I did. And I was there when they had one of the committee meetings where they discussed the bill that they were proposing to do about staying on standard time year-round until the federal government decides to do something else. But in the meantime, we can go to standard time if we want to under federal law, just like Arizona. And one thing, a couple of things I hadn't considered, but they talked about it in the meetings. I didn't realize the golf industry is a big deal here in Utah. And one of my supervisors here is a big-time golfer. So, I have to defer to, his tastes on that one. Yeah, they love it when people can come home from work and then go out and play a few rounds of golf and have plenty of daylight after work. Yeah. So I hadn't thought of how crucial that is to that industry. And also the construction industry. So they're building homes, for example, and we're trying to do something about the home
crisis. Yeah.
Yeah, so because of noise ordinances, they can't start before 7 a.m.
It's true.
In the summertime, the earliest sunrise would be like 5 a.m. So you're wasting a couple hours of good daylight there before they can start. And then they have to work during the hotter part of the day more. So the construction industry is saying, let's stay on daylight saving time, at least in the summertime, so we can be more productive with our work that we do.
Longer daylight hours.
And I hadn't thought of those very practical reasons to consider.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us. Sure. Greg Anderson, KSL photographer, with his experiment of turning his watch up a little bit.
So will you do it when we fall back? Will you try it again?
Yeah, well, it'll be more difficult because if I'm getting up later, that will be hard to coordinate with everyone else who's not doing it.
Well, maybe you could try it again next year.
I'll try.
I mean, odds are, if we're just looking at the odds right here, this will be back before the legislature, if not before Congress before then. So thanks so much for sharing your experiment. Fun, super fun. And who knew that you were trying this all along?
Well, let me talk to the construction world out there that is like, hey, you know what? We're trying to keep our workers out of the heat of the sun. I work construction. Never once did they give a hoot about me working in the sun, and I worked asphalt. So, you know, this we're just worried about them and hoping to get an extra.
That was probably in the 90s, right?
Yeah, trust me, it hasn't changed.
So what is your take, Dave? You've suggested this to incrementally change the clocks 30 seconds or a minute, so we don't feel the impact of the 1 hour when we spring forward. What do you think about Greg's experiment?
I love the experiment. I think it totally explains like how just small little changes, and he did it over 20 days. If we did this over 5 months, it would be completely imperceptible. And then we don't have these extremes where it is too bright in the evening or too dark in the morning. And let's just split that, let's split it up, the best of both worlds. We could all fall onto it. Then I don't know. It just seems like such an easy fix, because right now we cannot agree whether we want to go daylight or we want to go standard. So let's just split the difference.
All right. We'll see how that lands next session, Dave, if you get any traction on that. All right.
The only problem is we have to get the world on board with it, and that's a little problematic.
Well, and to that point, many countries in the world do not observe daylight saving time. And in Europe, I read this morning that several of them, like when they spring forward in later March, and we spring forward as a nation in early March.
Well, you're right. Maybe we could do it just in Utah here. Arizona does their own thing. It kind of throws us all off, but yeah, I don't know. It would be fun if we could do it, but got to get everybody on board, and we will never get everybody on board.
Straight ahead, we're going to go right on the money. You are probably wasting a lot of money by not doing this with your shoes. And so we're going to take a dive into that next.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Got an app idea? You're sitting on a gold mine, but stuck on how to bring it to life? Meet Dev Simplify, your superheroes for web and mobile app creation. DevSimplify.com. Just ask Coach Mike with Practice Planner Live.
As a coach, technology isn't my strength, but Dev Simplify took my idea for Practice Planner Live and turned it into the top practice planning platform on the market. They transformed my non-technical vision into an incredible web and mobile app that coaches like me now can't live without.
See, you don't need to be a tech wizard. Your idea plus Dev Simplify's superhero software skills equals a big win, right, Mike?
I had big plans for my app, and with Dev Simplify's help, it's now a thriving must-have platform for all coaches.
Dev Simplify, turning your brilliant ideas into amazing web and mobile. No tech skills required. Visit DevSimplify.com and let the magic begin. DevSimplify.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. Homeowners near Little Cottonwood Canyon are the latest to file a lawsuit against the Utah Department of Transportation opposing a proposed gondola.
The Granite Oaks Homeowners Association claims plans to build a parking garage and base station for the gondola violates their property rights. Deseret News reports taxpayer funds were used to pay for the property, and the lawsuit says the funds were not authorized for that use. UDOT says the gondola will alleviate traffic congestion, improve air quality, and protect the watershed, while opponents say the gondola would be a blight on the beauty of the canyon and may impact drinking water. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. On again, off again tariffs for imports are sending the markets tumbling today. Tariffs on goods and imports from China are still in place, but it's unclear which ones have been implemented for Canada and Mexico. More from ABC's Alexis Christoforous, who says investors aren't in favor of the uncertainty.
Last week was the market's worst week in 6 months. The selling seems to be, continuing this week. Tech stocks are leading the sell-off, but it really is a broad-based sell-off. We're seeing lots of investors flocking to the relative safety of other areas like gold and bonds.
The president has signaled that he will impose retaliatory tariffs on most of the U.S.'s global trading partners next month, and tariffs on aluminum products could come as early as next week. Speaking of that, your money at this moment, the Dow has taken another dip, off 728 points. The S&P is off 148 points. The NASDAQ is down 721 points. Coming up, it'll feel like spring until Thursday. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
For a while, we've been telling you about Mountain Home Services, but you may not realize that this is a company that has brought together Master Electrical Service and Mountain Air. So you're bringing expertise from so many different places it's a one call and that's it.
Yeah.
One call and they can take care of just about anything in your house.
And Master Electrical Service, you've seen them around. They've been around since the 1950s here in Utah. And they're still around, but now they're just in this, partnership with Mountain Home Services. And so that means, like you said, Dave, it's like one-stop shopping. They can take care of your electrical, your EV chargers. They can install a generator, work on your lighting. And now that they've combined forces, they can also help you with your HVAC.
Yeah, plumbing, you name it. Give them a call. They can take care of you. It all comes with this upfront pricing guarantee. So what that means is when they come out and they give you a bid, they will honor that, guaranteed, no hidden fees.
They're the company we trust, and so can you. A couple ways to get a hold of them. Dave's got the website for you.
MountainHomeservices.com. That's MountainHomeservices.com.
Or the phone number is 801-543-2222. That number, once again, 801-543-2222.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
For those who are traveling the Valley freeways, you're going to see a nice and quiet drive, especially in Salt Lake County. And from where we had earlier delays from pothole repair work on I-15 in Davis and Weber County, that's all clear. Good speeds there. Wasatch Front business owners, let the GoPave leprechauns fill your potholes and striping with their liquid gold. GoPave is complete parking lot service and maintenance, so your customers will feel lucky in your lots. GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Beautiful sunny skies for the next few days, highs in the low 60s. Thursday is when things will change with a rain-snow mix and a drop in temperatures that will last the second half of this week. Right now it's 50 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Your way to saving more money might be in your closet, specifically in that overgrown shoe section in your closet. Washington Post wrote about the value of shoe repair and maintenance. I don't know how this maintenance. Yeah, how well this is going to go over with our shoe collector crowd. Like, boo, we don't want to hear about shoe repairs and maintenance. We just want to know about the latest styles and trends. But they say more than 300 million pairs of shoes end up in U.S. landfills every single year. And there's just a couple of steps that we can take to save money. No pun intended.
I'm excited to hear this. I actually reached out to a shoe cobbler recently because
For what?
I've talked about my pickleball obsession, right? Mm-hmm. One thing you may not realize about pickleball is it goes through soles of shoes like nothing I've ever seen before. Like, I don't care if you're a marathon runner, you're not burning through shoes like pickleballers. We just grind that sole off.
Court.
Yeah, the court is basically sandpaper.
And it's a quick stops, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to make quick stops?
Yep. Yeah. Quick stops, and you're just grinding it away. It is straight up sandpaper, and you're just going through. I'll go through a pair of brand new sneakers in 3 months, 2 to 3 months. And that's just playing 2 to 3 times a week. This isn't even my everyday walking around. I'm using it 2 or 3 times a week, and then 2 or 3 months, and I've got to get a new one. In fact, pickleball shoes are famous for having soles made out of by tire companies. Like my most recent pair of shoes, $150, sole produced by Michelin. They're trying to breathe life into these things.
$150. Do they do a shoe check before you walk onto the court? Could you wear any shoe as long as it's not like a
It's got to be an athletic shoe,
it has to be an so you can't wear stilettos?
No.
Okay.
No stilettos.
Okay.
But anyway, I called up the shoe guy, and I'm like, hey, listen, I've only had these for 2 months. Can you just re-sole my sneaker? He's like, no, we don't do that. If your sole is worn out, the integrity of the sneaker is worn out as well, just throw them away. And I was so heartbroken. And you're like, oh, no, it's not for sneakers, it's for other shoes. So
yeah, I've used it before. I've used a shoe cobbler before. This is called a shoe repair store where I live and where I was living up in Cobbler
Cobbler is
Heights.
such a cooler name,
It
though.
is a cool name. So I did have a pair of stilettos. They're the most uncomfortable pair of shoes I've ever owned. But did I not wear them? No, of course not. I literally wore them when I was in TV news for years. And I have as my kids would say, an odd-shaped foot. They remind me of this regularly. And so to find a pair of narrow stilettos that I didn't step out of when I was running, when for TV news we run, like literally that's not a stereotype, that happens. And I needed something I could run in.
Okay.
And do the news in. And then one day I came to work and I noticed the heel part, the little rubber end was missing. And so I was like walking on a nail.
Okay.
Which is very dangerous for a lot of different reasons. First of all, it gets caught on all the carpet. It also slips and slides the minute you hit any sort of slick surface. So basically the only safe place I could walk was in the street with these things on. And I didn't want to get rid of them. And I wasn't going to give them away to a donation center because, I was just going to pass them on to somebody else that had like an odd-shaped foot and was going to put themselves in a neck-breaking situation at any moment. So I called up the shoe cobbler down the street, and they were great. They repaired the little nail on the little rubber thing on the end of the heel, and I've probably still have those doggone things. I got to tell you, I do not buy a lot of shoes. I hate shoe shopping. I have tried to purchase shoes online. They never fit right. They're either too small or too wide, and so I end up sending them back anyway. So when I buy a pair of shoes, I stick with them for a lifetime. So I am not a shoe waster. I don't waste money on shoes, but there are 300 million pairs of shoes that end up in the landfills across the United States every single year. And I think there are salvageable shoes that we are tossing into the landfills. And it didn't cost me a lot of money to have those shoes repaired. And they were great. Like I said, I probably still own the things. They're probably sitting in a shoe box in my closet somewhere for that next time I go out to a nice event. I'll probably find them and be like, oh yeah, these are the shoes I had repaired by the cobbler. How nice that they're still functioning. And I was just thinking about how I hold on to shoes. I have a pair of flats I wear to work. Probably how many days a year do we work?
100.
Okay, we work 2,080 hours full time. I know that much per year. We work 2,080 a year full time. That's full time employment. I probably wear those shoes to work 2,000 of those hours.
Okay. Your favorite shoes?
They have not worn through. But I have thought about what happens to them when they die on me. I will have them repaired. But there are certain shoes, like I will be heartbroken if I take them to a cobbler and he says, I can't repair them because this list says there are certain shoes that cannot be repaired.
Sneakers, top of the list.
Yeah.
Anything containing polyurethane, that's difficult because that just kind of wears out and it starts crumbling everywhere.
I don't even know how I would know if that contains polyurethane. I'm going to
kind of plasticky.
So I'm going to assume
shiny,
all of my shoes contain that, but I'd still take them to the cobbler to figure it out.
Leather shoes. That's the key. If you have leather shoes, those can be restored, reconditioned, recolored. That's a big one. Is you can recolor
I love
it.
That.
So
recolored.
Leather shoes, high quality leather shoes for sure.
So I have. Okay, Dave, you're not going to believe this. I just thought of this. I have a pair of shoes that I still wear to this day that I bought when I was. Are you ready for this? 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
What are they?
My golf shoes.
That's a good point. I've had golf shoes for a long time.
I still have them. They're the only pair of golf shoes I have.
Okay.
And in fact, when the courses decided to get rid of the metal,
the spike rule.
The metal spikes, I cried. And
But I have perfectly fine shoes.
I do. They do. They're FootJoys. Do they even make those anymore?
Oh,
They're FootJoys, and they fit my foot like a glove. You think I'm ever going to get rid of those things? Forget about it. I brag about it. I'm going on 58.
But they're metal spikes still?
No, time out. I'm 58 at the end of this month. Those shoes will turn 40 years old in just a matter of weeks. I think we should have a birthday party for them. I think we should have a 40th birthday celebration for my FootJoy white leather golf shoes. Here's the deal. So the spike rule went into effect. I'm like, what? This is crazy. My husband surgically removed every single spike on the bottom of those shoes for me, so I did not have to go buy. Now I have spikeless golf shoes that I bought when I was 18 years old, and I have been golfing in. Not well. I'm not the world's greatest golfer. I am not going on the women's PGA circuit at any time soon, but I wear them on the golf course, and they work just fine.
Because they're comfy.
And they haven't fallen apart. The leather has held up because I hardly wear them at all. The soles aren't worn down. In fact, I was walking on spikes for several decades, so the soles are great.
That's impressive. That's a lot of life. I don't know if I've ever seen
I'm like that
a
with
shoe.
all my shoes.
Yeah. You hang on to them. Okay, so how often do you get like a really nice pair? You know, if you're spending $300 or for a pair of shoes, you don't want to throw those away, right? So if you take it into a cobbler and they can fix it for $75 or $100, then it's worth it.
801-575-TALK. Come on. I have had a 40-year-old pair of shoes. I've just admitted to that. What's your oldest pair? Oh, hold that thought. I'll let you think about it during the break. How's that? You hold that thought. Let's ask our listeners. What is your oldest pair of shoes in your closet? 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. We're saving money here, folks. We're not getting rid of shoes. We're not churning and burning our shoes into the landfill anymore. We're in tight budget times right now. So I think this is a great way to save money. So let's all admit, what's the oldest pair of shoes in your closet? Dave will tell us his next too. 801-575-TALK.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City provides world-class specialty care for children, making a difference both locally and across the country. Hospital President Dustin Libson joins us to share how the community can further support their vital mission.
Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital began with an act of compassion for a child struggling on crutches. 100 years later, it's recognized as one of the best pediatric hospitals in the country, providing expert care to 100,000 children annually. This success wouldn't have been possible without a generous community. Utahns understand that investing in children's health offers the highest return on investment for families, communities, and businesses alike. When Aflac partnered with the Atlanta Children's Hospital, it wasn't just kids and families who benefited, the business did too, with improved morale and employees feeling more connected to the organization and community. I invite our local businesses to get involved. You can make a difference at Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital by volunteering, fundraising, or sponsoring a program. There's a role for businesses of every size. Join us in building a brighter future for children and communities. Reach out at primarychildrens.org and click on Donate.
Primary Children's Hospital provides vital care for children while supporting families and advancing pediatric health. With community support, they can continue making a lasting impact on the well-being of children and families in need. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Get ready for a rate with a view. For a limited time, Mountain America Credit Union has auto loans as low as 5.74% APR. Explore serene valleys, roaring waterfalls, and relaxing beaches, all while enjoying a low monthly payment. Apply for your Mountain America auto loan featuring a 5.74 rate. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Offer ends March 31st, 2025.
Dave and Dujanovic.
What's the oldest pair of shoes in your closet? 801-575-TALK. We're talking about this because the Washington Post dropped a story on how we can save money by taking our shoes not to the landfill, where 300 million pairs of shoes end up in the U.S. every single year, but to a shoe repair shop. And they say there's 3,000 of them across the United States.
I wonder why we don't think about this more often, because I think we will do this with our clothing. We will buy a high-quality piece of clothing because we know it's well built, it's going to last, the materials aren't going to fade. I think we do this with our clothing. We can justify buying this jacket or a nice pair of pants because we know it's going to last. I don't think we think about that with our shoes. We just look at our shoes as disposable. At least I have. I've never taken my shoes into a shoe repair shop. I always throw them away. But I think I got to change my view and start thinking, you know what? I think we could breathe some life into these things.
Taking your live calls, 801-575-TALK. What's the oldest pair of shoes in your closet? I don't think anybody can top my 40-year-old pair of FootJoy leather golf shoes. 40 years old. They turned 40 years old this month. We're going to have a little birthday celebration for them. So, Doug, can you top that?
No, I can't, but I have two pairs of boots. One's 8 years old and one's 7 years old. And I use them every day. I work construction. And here's the deal, though. Red Wing boots, you can actually send them back to the factory, and they will actually put new soles on them. They will put new footbeds, new laces, and they will oil them, and they will fix any stitching that's broken on them, and then send them back to you.
Yeah.
I've had that done multiple times.
That's amazing. One of my softball coaches growing up owned a Red Wing shoe store. I believe it was in Minnesota. And so I knew that they had this incredible customer service. But, gee, I didn't know that was still living on today. That's a great tip. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Dave, what's your oldest pair of shoes in your closet?
Not old. Probably 3-4 years old.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, nothing. I'm the problem. I'm the reason there are 300 million shoes in the landfill is because they're disposable for me. So I will wear them out and I'll toss them and then buy new ones. Now, when you're talking about Red Wing boots, I'm looking right now. They can be $350 for a pair of boots. So sure, you may think, oh, that's way too expensive. I don't want to spend $350 on boots. But if you're using them for 7 or 8 years, and these are work boots, these are ones that you're using every day, then I look at it as a great investment. And if they're going to, and they're not the only ones that will do this. Neiman Marcus, DSW, they offer kind of a similar thing. If your shoe starts wearing out, send it in and we'll fix it for you.
Yeah, I took my pair of stilettos to the shoe cobbler down the street. It was pretty inexpensive to fix them. And the best part about that is I didn't need to go shoe shopping for another pair, right? Because those fit me great as far as stilettos go. That was years ago. I don't wear the same kind of shoes these days to do the radio. In fact, I'm in my I don't know, Dave. I think I paid $50 for
trainers.
Sneakers. Yeah, they were at a half price. I buy all my shoes on sale, and I keep them forever, like my golf shoes. In fact, I have that pair, the flats that I wear to work almost every single day, and I kind of wondered if maybe I'll just, walk across the Rainbow Bridge in those things one day to the pearly gates, because that's how committed I am. They're so comfortable. They're broken in. If the bottom falls off, I'm going to take them right to the repair shop. But there are certain shoes that they say they can't repair, one of them being the shoes that you play pickleball in.
Yeah. Sneakers, they don't get repaired. They break down. That's what my shoe guy said is, hey, the integrity and the structure of the shoe breaks down by the time you've worn out the sole.
And so that was a bummer for you because those shoes were $150.
Yeah, I'm just going through shoes like crazy.
Well, it's because you're a good pickleball player.
Hey, we've got somebody, Debbie. This is incredible. Someone that has you beaten. Sue, it sounds like you got an old pair of Docs.
Hi, yes, I love my Docs.
How old are they? How old are they?
They're early 70s.
Wow.
Woo. I had them. I wore them all through high school, loved them, polished them. And my granddaughter started wearing Docs, and she said, oh, let me try on your shoes. And she just stole them this last year. Now she's wearing them.
Retro. They're super cool.
That's amazing, Sue.
Hey, do you have to get them, have you had them repaired? Or they haven't lasted that long without repair, right?
Oh, no, they're all original, including the shoelaces.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable.
Wow, well, I don't know if we're going to top that. Derek, Sue just called in, says she's got a pair of Doc Martens that she's been wearing around since the 70s. Can you top that?
I've got a pair of all-leather golf shoes, FootJoys.
You do?
That I treat with Mars oil, and I've had them forever. And then I also buy Danner boots, and just like the last caller, you can send them in and get them resold. I mean, they're kind of pricey. They're like $400, but you can get them resold for $200. And I've got some that are 10 and 15 years old.
What was that? Well, because I've never touched my FootJoys with any sort of oil. Oops. What is that called?
It's called Mars oil.
Okay.
And I don't know if even the golf stores even carry in that, but it smells like fish. But you treat the leather soles, and it waterproofs the leather
amazing.
soles.
That's amazing. Thanks, Derek. Hi, Roger.
Hello.
Can you top my 40-year-old golf shoes?
Yes, actually I can. I have two pair of Bass Legions that I purchased in 1971, and I have a pair of boots that I purchased in 1970, and all three of those are still going strong.
That's awesome.
What's it? Bass Legion? Is that, how do you say that?
Yeah, you know. Yeah, Bass Legions. You don't know that, Dave?
It sounds like you guys wear a lot nicer shoes than I do. These ones sound amazing.
Thanks, Roger. Paul, can you top my 40-year-old golf shoes?
Yeah, I've got a 40-year-old pair of Lucchese boots.
Lucchese boots.
Dave's over there Googling.
Yeah.
You guys are just making up names at this point?
No. Lucchese is a high-end boot. I mean, back 40 years ago, I paid $400 for them.
My goodness. Are they collector's items now? Are they worth more than what you paid for them?
I could probably sell them for exactly what I paid for them. I mean, they look like they're brand new, and I've taken them to a cobbler 5 times, and they just put on new heels or new soles. It's a lizard skin that I have, but they look brand new. I cover them with like a mink oil once a year, and they are. I used to wear them a lot more than what I do right now, but yeah, they're 40 years old, and they're a beautiful pair of boots.
Quickly, how much does it cost you on average to get them resold or repaired?
Oh, $40.
Okay. So far cheaper than trying
Holy smokes.
to put them to rest.
I just went to the Lucchese website. I just looked at the boots. $1,700. They better be amazing. If I'm paying $1,700, yeah, they better last me for 40 years. But they're beautiful. I'll give you that. Those are good-looking boots.
Well, Paul's was a great example. He paid $400 for him, and he's had them resold for $40. So that is to the point of the Washington Post article. You can save a bundle of money keeping your shoes out of the landfill, as long as they're not Dave's pickleball shoes, by just getting them repaired or resold. You save a lot of money. Yeah, stop throwing your shoes away. Think about a cobbler first. Straight ahead, Maria's up, of course, as she always is. Utah's governor expected to sign a legislation that'll make huge changes to our vote-by-mail process. Maria with much more on that story next.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline